Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got 4 replays in the Eastern Alliance Era 3 Tech Tree medium tank, the TR-85M1. Now if you do like the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the TR-85M1, it is the last tank to show in this whole new branch that's come out on the Eastern Alliance Tech Tree. I say the last tank, it's not really the last tank because the Moderna is the last tank, but it's the last tank to show that they added brand new onto the line that already existed, that went from the TR-85, TR-125 to this tank, the TR-85M1. It didn't exist before the branch, well, the end to that branch got added. And this is the way to go from the TR-125 to the Moderna. You basically skip the Vilk and the PT-91 and you go straight to the top of the Era 3 branch from this vehicle. You don't have to play a mid-era tank in between. But should you go that way? I don't think so, to be honest, because it's a lot of grinding on this tank to get to the Moderna, which is a nice tank. The Moderna can be quite fun to play. But this tank is really not very good. It's got very good DPM. It's got a very good gun. And the mobility is okay in terms of its top speed, but it's just really sluggish. And the armour is absolutely non-existent, which means that, yeah, you get butchered by everything. You get set on fire a lot in this vehicle. And again, even though the gun is superbly accurate, for some reason it never really feels like it. It just misses shots that you sit there going, how did you miss that gun? Really? Okay, sure. Add to that, your penetration on the standard round at 530 is a little bit low for Era 3, and you do struggle to pen things at times, especially when they come after you. And, you know, it's one of those tanks that, if you get left alone, you can farm, because your DPM is insane. The DPM on this gun is insane. The technical statistics of the gun are absolutely fantastic. So if you get left alone and you can just sit and farm, where did that go? Okay, but yeah, you get left alone, you can farm for days. But the problem is, as soon as things look at you and decide you're going to die, it's not going to be a great time, and you just get wrecked. Absolutely wrecked. And by the way, that was what I'm talking about with the gun there. We actually hit the T-80 and penned it. But my bad aim meant that I aimed off of the tank, but somehow I still hit it and penned it. And I sit there going, eh? Oh, well, I'll take it. You know? But anyway, I digress. The top speed on this vehicle, in this first replay, we are stock, by the way, but you only get one engine. You do get no upgrades on this vehicle, and you've got 74 km/h top speed with a 26 km/h reverse speed, which is pretty good. You've got 17.2 horsepower per ton ratio, which is also pretty good. But for some reason, this tank just sort of kind of struggles to its top speed, and it doesn't feel that mobile at times. You sit there, especially for Era 3, where everything feels exceptionally mobile, right? You just feel a little bit sluggish compared to those vehicles. You've got a 44 degree a second hull rotation speed, which is pretty quick, with a 581 meters of view range, which is okay for an Era 3. It's not the best, not the worst. You've got 44.85 degrees a second on the turret traverse, which is slightly quicker than the hull, which is nice, and we are helping that as much as possible with the crew skills, because that is obviously with the build that we run. We've got 0.36 accuracy during rotation, which is incredible, with 1.23 accuracy during movement, which is okay. And that means that the aim circle doesn't bloom out that much at all, even when you're moving, and that is without running the gun stabilizer. Naturally, if you wanted to make it even better, and probably just the fact that it'll be always permanently accurate while on the move, you could run the gun stabilizer. It's down to you and how you want to play the vehicle. 0.16 accuracy at 100 meters as well is absolutely fabulous. That is incredibly accurate on this tank, with a 1.63 second aim time, meaning it doesn't aim in super duper quick anyway, which is why I don't run the gun stabilizer, because even with the little amount it actually blooms out, it's aimed in really quickly anyway. Just like a lot of the Era 3s, realistically. You have 5 degrees of gun depression on this tank, which is very limiting, and it means there's not as many spots you can truly take with the tank, which can be a bit of a pain. You got 3.63 seconds reload, which is incredible for a 7.2k DPM while stock, which, again, the DPM is insane. But you have 530 penetration on the standard APFS DS rounds, 600mm of penetration on the premium heat rounds, and 135 pen on the standard HE rounds, which means you're never going to take the heat, because the heat is really not that effective in Era 3. The 530mm of penetration on the standard APFS DS round is enough to go through quite a lot of tanks in the side and rear, but once you get them frontally on against quite a few vehicles in Era 3, you just really struggle to pen them, and it becomes a bit of a pain for the TR-85M1, realistically. So what do I run in terms of a crew and equipment? Well, I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, Rapid Aim, Track Mechanic, Deadeye, with the Advanced Loader, Traction System, Vents. Vents to make everything about the tank as good as possible, including making the one big strength this vehicle has, the DPM, as good as humanly possible, alongside the Advanced Loader. Traction System to get up to that 74 kilometers an hour at top speed, although you could run the powertrain to try and help the engine power, help the horsepower per ton ratio, just to be able to hit the top speed a bit easier if you wanted to. And then all 3 gun perks to make sure this gun is as good as humanly possible, because I'm not running the gun stabilizer, because again, the 2 strengths of this vehicle are the fact that the DPM is insane, and the gun handling is also absolutely fantastic. Rapid Aim to make the turret traverse better, especially with running traction system, so that the turret traverse is faster than the track traverse. And yeah, Deadeye for the memes, to increase our chance of doing module damage by 6%, especially on a tank that's so lacking. It's sometimes nice to have that increased chance of possibly setting someone on fire, damaging Ammarax, all that good stuff. Now, one of the other weak points, we may have all the DPM in the world, right? But one of the weak points of this vehicle is we have 440 alpha, which is actually quite low for Era 3. And it means even though we're firing very fast, when things are hitting us, and they do not fail to penetrate us, they're hitting us for 550, 500 to 550, and you really do feel that difference, especially when, like I say, tanks decide to focus you down. And that's the problem, is the fact that they don't struggle to pen you, you struggle to pen them. This tank very rarely bounces anything, and it just is an absolute struggle. As we bounce something, because of course we do. Thanks, game, for proving me wrong. But you get my point. Very rarely does that happen. You are fairly lucky. Oh my goodness me, we've ricocheted another shot. Okay, the armor on this tank is the best thing since sliced bread. It's brilliant. You bounce everything. No, I can't take that. No, we're getting very, very lucky. It's because we were on a downslope there, angling our armor up, which meant that we're actually accentuating the angle, meaning that we ricocheted the shots. And that's just the way that it goes. But generally, especially on flat, or if they're seeing your turret front, they will go straight through it, and that can be pure pain. But you're seeing with this second replay, by the way, we're still stock in the second replay, just how fast you can farm up. This tank can rack the damage up super duper quickly. I mean, we were less than 2 minutes and we had 5k damage, and we're sitting there going, yes, this is perfect, this is what we want, we're not being locked out, we're managing to farm up. Then all of a sudden, everything goes, hey, there's this thing shooting us non-stop, feeding us damage. I got shot by a Stormer with his 80GM, even though there's a tank in his face, and it's like, oh no, dead. Just like that. Your HP in this vehicle just in a flash disappears because you have 0 armor, and the moment that people go, hey, stop shooting us, they literally come after you and go, yeah, we can just easily deal with you. You're no problem to us, mate. Just die. And you sit there going, no, don't do that, as you die horribly. And it's just the way that the TR-85M1 goes. So we're on to the third replay. In this third replay, we are now fully upgraded, which means we have the top gun, we have the top tracks, the top turret. We've now got that 3,250 hit points, so it goes up by 200 hit points. We've gone up to 46.2 degrees a second on the hull rotation speed, 620 meters of view range, which is pretty good for an Era 3 tank. 47.35 degrees a second on the turret rotation speed, which means that it is still a little bit faster than the tracks. 0.27 accuracy during rotation now, which is really good, with 0.87 accuracy during movement, which is absolutely insane. So paired together, they are very, very good. Your aim circle barely blooms out while on the move, which is, it just adds to the insane accuracy of this gun, with 0.13 accuracy as well, which again, this gun accuracy-wise and dispersion-wise is absolutely incredible, with 1.53 second aim time as well, meaning it aims in super duper quickly, but it barely ever blooms out, so you very rarely actually have to aim in. So the gun is absolutely incredible on this tank, and the DPM is 7.5, nearly 7.6k DPM with a 3.48 second reload, which is absolute insanity. Even in Era 3, that is absolute insanity. The problem is, having that DPM and getting to effectively use it is an absolute struggle for the TR-85M1, especially with how fast the games blitz in Era 3. It tends to be that most of your team's dead before you manage to do anything significant, and then they just come running for you and you die, and you sit there going, no! Or your team has absolutely murdered them, and even though you've got fantastic DPM, you struggled to get the damage up to anywhere near what you could possibly do in any other tank. Which is the way it goes for Era 3 entry era tanks, because This is one of those tanks where you just have to get past it. And I always say it for an entry era vehicle. There are some entry era vehicles, like the Vilk, for example. There's the opposite era 3 entry era for this Moderna line. They're actually alright. And you sit there going, yeah, that wasn't too bad. It's not quite a get past it tank. You can have a good time with it. You can enjoy it. And it can serve you quite well. And then you get tanks like the BV, for example, the T-80BV, and a tank like this, where you just have to get past it. You just have to get past its absolute awfulness and get to what is better in the line and just completely forget this tank exists and then just enjoy yourself generally. Because that's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. One thing that does suck a little bit, by the way, about this gun is the fact that you've got 1,315 meters a second shell velocity on that standard APFS DS round. Quite a lot of vehicles in Era 3 are starting to get 15 to 1,600 on that standard APFS DS round. So it's not terrible shell velocity at all, by the way. That is still good shell velocity. But compared to a lot of it, how does that one miss? The accuracy on this tank is insane, but okay, we still missed that shot. That's what I'm on about with the gun, though. Sometimes you miss shots that you sit there going, we've got .13 accuracy, we've got fantastic dispersions. How are we missing gun? You know, it's one of those. But yeah, 13-15 meters a second shell velocity isn't bad, but yeah, compared to quite a few of the other Era 3 tanks, it's starting to get poor. The other thing to note with the TR-85M1 is that the gun depression is really awkward. We have 5 degrees of gun depression, right? I've stated that. But you lose it over the side and rear of the vehicle. There is a weird lip at the back end of the TR-85M1 from the midpoint on that actually completely kills your gun depression. You lose it all, which is really frustrating. So far in this third game, we're up to 3.7k damage, and we are currently trying to farm as much as possible without being the main focus of attention. Because you saw what happened, we started to farm people in the side, and then they all went, hey, a TR-85M1, and then took half of our health very, very quickly, which is just the way it goes. We put a shot into the back of the Asario, now a 477A, who has just turned into the building. Not quite sure what that 477A is doing, I actually think I tracked him there. And we're just hoping to finish it off. Get rid of the big gun out of the game. RBRT. And it goes high and ricochets off the back of the turret. Then he gets finished off by the Jaguar 1. So there's only 2 tanks left on the enemy team. It is the M1A2 in the distance and another 477A. So we're going to try and close the distance a little bit. I'm just waiting for my repair kit to come back in so I can repair the fuel tanks. Because yet again, don't really want to get set on fire in this vehicle. It's going to go very badly. If we take one hit, we'll probably get set on fire because this tank is. As soon as your fuel tanks are damaged in the TR-85M1, it's likelihood you're going to get set on fire. But the 477A has decided you're going to die. So we try and track it, but unfortunately we hit the we hit the lower plate. We go for the tracks again, hit the upper plate, and I'm like, come on, I just want to track it. Go for the drive wheel again, hit the spaced armor. But we hit it this time, and hello, Mr. 477A, I am around the side of you now, retrack him in place, damage his ammo rack, and we've got the DPM to just keep this guy perma-tracked, and he gets shut down. That's really realistically how you want to go against 477As. If you can blow the tracks off and get around them, you're going to have a good time, especially in a tank with such good DPM as this. So finished with 7.1k damage, 1,073 assistance, the second class, the Confederate, for 1,506 base XP. Actually a pretty good game there for the TR-85M1, because it doesn't hit that height that often, to be perfectly honest. It is a bit of a struggle to get anywhere near that. Because like I say, the game's because we have low alpha, right, in 440, we do have insane DPM, but the games do just go that fast that you don't quite get the chance to use it that often effectively. And also the problem is that you do struggle to go through the front of a lot of tanks with 530 pen. You really do struggle to pen them. And a lot of tanks in Era 3 take offense at you shooting them. So a lot of the time when you shoot someone in Era 3, they really seem to take offense about it. And the moment you shot them once, they go, huh? I'm not having this. And will just charge at you. They will turn their frontal armor to you and just charge. Especially in the close knife fights that tend to happen with the wolf packs in Era 3 as well. So, yeah, you end up having the opportunity to fire once, pen them, and then they go, okay, I'm not having that, and then they turn around. Or you get 2 shots in because they don't quite get how quick you can fire. And you get 2 shots in and they go, okay, I'm not having this, and then come after you. Because like I say, the problem with the TR-85M1, one of them anyway, is the fact that people will just go, nah, you've shot me once, you've shot me twice, I'm not having this, you're just going to die, and you are the one that I'm going to kill. And that was my general experience with the TR-85M1. The moment they realised that what you were, and they knew how easy you were to pen, they'd just RBRT, lock on, and just come after you instantly. And you were just like, oh, great. Nice. This is making my grind fantastic. So, we're on this map, which is Hellfire Pass, and on the Hellfire Pass, we're just trying our best to defend the cap. Our whole team is here, so we've got a bit of confidence in the fact that we can push and try and keep our guns firing on the enemy tanks. And again, try and keep ourselves in flanked positions to get easy shots into the side. We got a couple of shots into the 2A5. I'm not quite sure what he was doing, but we're up to 1200 damage. And we can try and avoid the T4 on our right. Although we can get a shot into the side of his turret, so we're going to try and do that. There we go, 422. Hopefully, with him not paying attention, we can put another one in. There we go. We ricochet a shot from the EE Asario, who comes after us. Bad shot there as we ended up aiming a little bit too far behind him. We ricochet off his upper plate, even though we were aiming at his side there. It's like, okay, thanks for that. MBT-80 up on top of the ridgeline, whole lower plate, and we hit the tracks. Go for the next shot, though, into the tracks, and that's what, again, I'm on about with the TR-85M1. The gun is so good, but we hit that guy's tracks before we managed to hit the lower plate, even though we were basically fully aimed on the lower plate. And you sit there going, but you're so good, gun. How did you miss this, right? Really frustrating. But when you do catch someone out like that 2A5 and they don't really pay too much attention to you, you can just eviscerate the hit points so fast. If they're just not going to pay attention to the fact you're damaging them, or they're very tunnel visioned on what's going off in front of them, yeah, your damage can rack up pretty quickly. So the MBT-80 currently is really hard focusing us. We really can't get out of this situation because every time we try and poke over and get shots, he's just looking. And then we see in the distance with True Vision, it's like, hello, Mr. Marder A3. If you want to give me free damage, I'll take it. So we put 3 shots into him, dodge the ATGM. Hopefully we'll get another one into him before he runs away. There we go, beautiful scenes. And even at that distance, like I say, you can see the gun is fairly accurate though. RNG gives it. RNG giveth an RNG taketh. It's always a thing. So we're going to push with our 2 MBTs to go after these 2 guys that are down at F1. We've got to be careful, obviously, of the Marder A1 that could be trying to get shots at us. But we're going to try and use our mobility to get round the side of the Leclerc, finish him off. Now we're going to try and get some shots into the Type 85-3M, which is a fairly easy pen. It doesn't really have any armor whatsoever, so even with 530 we should be able to go through it. And especially at that angle where his upper plate is angled down for us. So we get one in, get to him, and we start getting machine gunned by the Marder. It's like, Mr. Marder, go away. We put a shot into the Marder, and then the Type 83M gets shut down. Or Type 85-2M, sorry. The Type 85-2M. Didn't see the 2, I thought it was the 3. But there we go. He gets shut down, meaning we don't have to worry about that. There's only 1 tank left on the enemy team. It is currently closing down our MBT. And the MBT-80 gets shut down by the MBT-70. And we finish the game with a decent total there for the TR-85M1. Finished with the epic victory. 2 kills, 7.4k damage, 1436 base XP. Pretty decent game there for that tank again, which, like I say, it's not a very good tank in Era 3. It really does struggle massively. And you should really go through the other route to get to the Moderna, because especially when you get to Era 3, you'll have a lot more fun in particular, because the Vilk and the PT-91 are pretty damn good tanks. And then the Moderna itself at the end of it, though, once you get past the TR-85M1, is a pretty good tank as well. But yeah, that's the end of this Eastern Alliance coverage. You've had all the information you could ever want about them. And as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success.